One of the coolest things about the RPG key is the fact that it's so flexible and that our users, our community of friends and fans, really drive the way the RPG key changes as we go forward. In this quick little video, we're going to show you 3 new features included in the available functions in the layout modifier that have been driven by our fans and customers. Some of these people are people we met at WPPI last week, and others are longtime customers who've been asking for new changes or modifications to the code. So if you open up the layout modifier, you're going to see 1,700 available functions just for Lightroom alone, and a similar set of functions for Photoshop and Bridge. And the list of applications is growing every day based on emails we get with requests for new functions. So this quick video will walk you through 3 new functions and pay homage to the 3 people that requested them. The first new feature I'm going to show you is one that was from our users and friends over at Revolution Imaging and Design. So thanks to Jack and all his team for pushing us. This new feature is pretty damn cool. So what these guys wanted from their RPG key was the ability to put multiple exposure controls and tint and temperature controls on different keys. So they asked us, hey, can we have one button for a really big exposure change and a different button for a smaller exposure change? And the same concept throughout all of the slider controls in Lightroom. So let me show you what they pushed us to do. And really, it wasn't too difficult. They picked up the phone. They said, hey, this is what we want. We managed to make it happen. So we're going to go in here. On my keyboard and on the stock keyboard, if you click on button number 40, it does exposure up and down. And you can define how much up and how much down that key does using the LR preference tool inside of the RPG application. But Jack wanted something different. Jack wanted key 19 to be exposure down. So I'm going to just show you what we did here. We'll clear key 19 and key 20, which are normally for presets in the stock RPG key. But again, you can customize this however you want. So I'm going to select key 19 and I'm going to just search for exposure in our software. And so Jack said, hey, I want to do exposure down by a lot on key 19, and on key 20 I wanted to do exposure up by a lot. Okay, so we've added 20 different downs and 20 different ups for exposure and temperature and tint and recovery and fill light and blacks and brightness and contrast and clarity and vibrancy and saturation and others. 20 ups and 20 downs so that you can customize your keyboard to your own liking. So then he wanted to use our option 1 key to do a small adjustment. So we're going to do select the 5, exposure down by 0.005, and for 20 we're going to do exposure up for 0.005. And we'll do the same thing for blacks for 27 and keys 27 and 28. So we'll do a search for blacks. Blacks down, we'll do 10 big jumps and 5 for option 1, and then we'll do ups, we'll do 10, and downs, we'll do 5. Okay, so in a matter of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, I've programmed 4 keys. I've got key 19 does a really big exposure up or a smaller one with the option key, and then we've got 20 does up and down. So 20's up, 19's down, and the same with blacks for 27, 28. So we'll go back in here to Lightroom, and we'll turn the keyboard on. And so if I want to do exposure up on this image, I'm going to hit the image. I'm going to wait up the keyboard. Okay, so there's a large full stop. Okay, let me reset that. So we'll do full stop, okay, which is what Jack wanted, or we could do a half a stop, okay, which is my shift key. So this is just the way these guys wanted to be able to use the keyboard. Different buttons having different strengths for exposure, temperature and tint and so on and so forth. So here's the blacks. There's a big 10 increment, and here's a 5 increment. And going down, different button, there's a 10 down, and here's a 5 down. So thanks to Jack from Revolution, all of the RPG key owners on a Mac will now benefit from your request for a new feature. The next new feature comes to us via request from a user and Lightroom educator himself, Jared Platt. Jared speaks around the country and teaches Lightroom workflow and is a fan and a friend of ours and a user of the RPG key, and he asked us to add a feature that we were a little skeptical about at first, but I got to tell you it's pretty cool. So let me show you, this is Jared's website, Jared Platt Workshops. Let me show you what Jared asked for. So he asked for a very unique culling or flagging approach. So I'm going to take buttons 10 and 11, which are normally open and closed left panel and right panel, and I'm going to do a search for 6 for survey, 4 up, and I'm going to put that on, this is Jared's request here, put that on key number 10, and key number 11 I'm going to do survey 6 up. Okay, so Jared likes to do his original or initial review of his images kind of in a batch, in a group. So Jared wants to be able to hit a button. We'll wake up the keys here. Jared wants to be able to hit a button and look at the next 4 images and decide if any of them are keepers. So he's going to go through and pick the keepers. None of these are. And then he wants to look at the next 6 or 4. So here's the next 4. None of these are keepers. None of these are any good. We're getting into actual work here. So I'm pulling up 4 at a time, deciding if any of them are any good. He also wanted a 6 up. So here's the actual photo shoot that we did. So now I can go say, okay, this one's a keeper. This one's a keeper. This is no good. No good. If I turn my caps lock key on my computer, take it the next step forward, when I hit the reject key, it auto advances me to the next image. And so now I can go next 6. Okay, this works wonderfully if you go ahead and hide your left and right panels, because if you're doing this workflow, you're probably not doing a lot of editing. And again, I'm going to reject. I like this one. No, none of these. That one's pretty good. Next 6. Okay, so here they are. I'm going to start at the beginning. Reject. That one's good. Reject. Next 4, let's say. So there it is. We've got what's called survey 6 up, 4 up. It goes basically from 1 to 10, allowing you to pull up the next 6 or the next 4 or the next 10, whatever the number you choose, to do your high-speed culling, to be able to compare, okay, which smile is the best? Which of these images do I like the most? And a little tip there is to put your caps lock key on, and when you flag or pick or reject an image, it will auto-advance you to the next image. So thanks to Jared Platt for convincing me that this was a worthwhile addition. This is going to be a new addition to my studio workflow. The last thing I want to show you today is a request from WPPI itself. Just last Saturday was from Tim from Seabreeze Photography. Tim purchased the RPG key at the show and wants to use the RPG key with his Wacom pen, which is no problem. But he wants to use specifically the rocker button on the Wacom pen to do the up and down control. So he wants to be able to, for the RPG key, to go ahead and grab, for example, the recovery slider. And then he wants to be able to go up and down, move that slider up and down using his Wacom pen. It's not something that the RPG keys could do during WPPI, and we've taken Tim's request and we've gone ahead and added it to the RPG keys. So let me show you what we've done. I'm going to go up to the layout modifier, and we're going to select Lightroom 3, and I'm going to just do button number 1, which was escape. I'm going to look for focus exposure. So all that does is it goes and grabs the exposure slider. So here we are. We're going to go to the next photo, and I'm going to hit that button. I'm going to wake up the keys here. I'm going to hit that button. It grabs the slider, and now I'm just moving the slider now with either your keyboard with the up and down arrows or with a Wacom pen. And so you can also control it with the RPG key. You can program a shift up button for really large adjustments or shift down button for large adjustments, or you can just program an arrow key up or an arrow key down. So this workflow or this approach requested by Tim from Breeze Photography allows RPG key owners now to kind of focus on any one of the sliders and then decide, okay, yes, up, big up or small up, and down as well, or just to use their Wacom, use the button on their Wacom pen to control the sliders. So thanks to Tim from Breeze Photography for kind of adding to the common or the greater good by asking us for a new feature.